Welcome to Echoes International podcast, with teaching, interviews and stories of what God is doing straight from the mission field and also within the UK. For more podcasts, stories and opportunities to get involved, check out our website at echoesinternational.org.uk and our other social media channels. Okay, Sam. I'm told you're out there someplace.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Good to see you. Sam, are you able to give us an update, please, just on what you've been up to? It's almost like the floor is yours, and I know you're well able to speak here. So, look at the sunshine there. That looks terrific. Hi there. Good to see you both.
More terrific.
Good. And the Lord's blessed you, Sam, since we last saw you there in that other half.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Tell us, please, give us an update on what you've been up to.
Okay, well, I've been just this last week. I was down in the Jungle Town area, and we were able to bring a few friends, and we're actually on the road trip right now. But I just pulled over here so that we could connect, and we're coming back to the town that we've been working on to start a new church. And so we had brought a few of our friends with us to go visit that older church that I was able to start, and also connect with some of my friends that have maybe walked away from being a part of the church, and we just wanted to encourage them, as well as visit an indigenous community that I had been able to create a good friendship with a specific family that is prominent among this community, and especially with the son and brother of this family. Alejandra and I had become really good friends, and we were able to share the gospel too. He had leukemia, and so he moved 9 hours outside of the capital city to Bogota for some of his treatment. And while he was here alone, Alejandra and I, we tried to spend as much time as possible with him. And when he was healthy enough to get out, we would go for a walk, or we would go to church with him and play board games. And so he eventually died, and it was really sad, but we went to his funeral, and his whole family was very aware of how we were so intentional in just helping out this young man. And I believe that he came to know the Lord. But the results is that we all of a sudden, like, were very well received by this indigenous community, and they esteem us quite a bit. And so we had heard from some other missionaries that there was a family that spoke the language of this community. They, like, just about everybody speaks Spanish, but this other family, like, they had been working with the same tribe, just in a different region of Colombia. And so they knew the language, and they were going to be visiting this town. And so some people knew that we were friends with this one family, and so they contacted us so that we could go be a bridge in kind of creating an entry for this missionary family to start working there. And so that's what we were doing these past 3 or 4 days, and it was really awesome. The people were so excited to see us, and I felt like we were able to make a really good transition there, so that the Colombian missionaries could meet this indigenous community and create that first interaction so that they can keep going back. And at the same time, it was really nice to have 3 of our friends with us and be able to show them a little about what missions look like in a more difficult context. And these two of the three friends that we brought with are pretty new believers. Probably just within about 4 or 5 months, they came to put their faith in Christ, and they're on fire, and they're like reading their Bibles like constantly, and sharing the gospel with their friends and their family members and bringing them to the new church that we started. And so like we've seen a lot of potential in them, and so that's why we wanted to bring them out to this community with us, and to just be able to see that side of Colombia that's probably about 12 hours away from where they live. And it was great. So we're getting close to making it back to our final destination, but our car was having a little bit of trouble, and so we had to pull over, and now hopefully God will get us there in time for church tomorrow on Sunday.
I love the pictures of your car. I think I'm a bit of a car enthusiast. I think you know that, but the Lada Niva, there's a kind of cult following of that car here, because they stopped importing them to Britain, and it's hard to get a hold of them. Especially in the nice blue color I saw in the video. Very good. So we saw it as well when COVID set in at first. You guys had a quite a unique approach to continuing your church there on the rooftop. Do you want to talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, so we had met some Venezuelan immigrants, and they didn't really have too much of an opportunity to connect for a 1 or 2 hour meeting on Zoom, just because it's pretty difficult to have so much data. If they don't have very much money, they have to be pretty selective with what they use. And usually they do have cell phones. They're not the most state of the art, but they probably only have enough data to use WhatsApp and other applications like that. So I was just, I was restless, and I started interacting with them, and we effectively started meeting in Alejandra's parents' rooftop, and we would take the Lord's Supper there, and we did that for quite a while. At the beginning, I think people were a little bit more apprehensive about what this whole pandemic meant, and so they were a lot more careful. But I think that even though the rate of infection hasn't improved very much, people have started moving around a lot more, and so we were able to go back to meeting in the buildings and still maintaining certain distance levels and levels of precaution and things like that. But it's only occasionally now that the infection rate will start to spike, and so then all of a sudden everybody will go back into quarantine. But we've been able to navigate that pretty well, and I'm not too fond of meeting online, and so we've kind of been a little more audacious in meeting in person, and it's had its toll, because I, as well as probably about 5 other friends, we got infected, and we went through that process, but by the grace of God, it wasn't too serious, and so we're alive and kicking, and continuing to get after it for the glory of the Lord.
Good, I love it. And tell us then, just as we can, it's been great to catch up with you here, however briefly, in your road trip, but just give us something as we leave to give God thanks for, and something to pray for, please, for you both.
Okay. Well, you can definitely pray for our marriage. It's a big learning curve to know how to share your life with someone 24/7, but Alejandra has been wonderful, and I love her a lot. I think our ultimate desire is to go serve inside of Venezuela, and last year I had probably traveled about 8 times into this country, and we have a lot of friends that have invited us to their homes that are immigrants that we've interacted with, and especially one family that lives fairly close to the Colombian border. We were planning on living fairly close to them and then just traveling back to Cucuta on the Colombian side to be a part of the Sunday meeting in the church there. But because of the whole COVID situation, we haven't been able to get back into Venezuela because they've closed the border. We both have the advantage that we're Colombian citizens, and so more than an American, I can get around. But without your passport getting stamped, it's just kind of gnarly. And whenever there's a military checkpoint, they always try to kind of get money out of you, and it's an uncomfortable situation. And it's even more uncomfortable if I don't have the proper documentation. And so we're kind of waiting to see if the Lord will open up that door. And in the meantime, we've kind of gotten established in this other town that I was mentioning to you, where we rented out a restaurant and we transformed the kitchen into our bedroom. And we just recently were able to install a shower and another kitchen there. And so the space is really nice and the work is exciting. We've got a lot of good momentum, and it's going to be tough for us to leave finally when Venezuela opens its borders, but that's definitely where we're heading. And you can pray for the millions of immigrants that are suffering even more now because of the lack of possibility to get a job in the midst of this pandemic, but are nevertheless still very receptive to the gospel. So whatever you want to pray about, we'd take all the help we can get.
Okay, listen, great to catch up with you. Now, we've got a good number of young folks as well that might have questions. They want to go. You're pretty active in social media. The best way to contact you is?
Yeah, through Facebook, Instagram, or I'd love to stay in touch.
Fantastic. Right, good to see you both. God bless you and in your marriage. Okay, and look after one another, and I hope you get back on the road. No more car trouble.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
We hope you're encouraged and inspired and ready to answer the call. Thank you for listening.